Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. So, just to keep recap last week, what have we done so far? Anyone remember? What did we? Yeah. Bhishma Dev was passing away. So, yeah, last week we glorified, or Shankaran Prabhu glorified Bhishma Deva's pastimes and some of his glories, and how his background actually. He's also shared the story that he is one of the, or he's the eldest Vasu, and he was Prabhasa, and why he had to come as Bhishma Dev because of the curse by Vasishtha Muni. So he was cursed that he has to take birth on this material in this material world, and he was born of Ganga Devi and Shantanu. So after that, last week we also saw that Yudhishthir Maharaj was very perplexed because of he thought that this war, which he definitely did not want, but it was it had to happen, and he thought that as a Vaishnava, being very compassionate, that so many people died just for me to become king. So he was very morose and he didn't want to rule and as a king he didn't want to be king, and many great personalities tried to pacify him, tried to console him, including Lord Sri Krishna, but they could not. And then Lord Krishna took him to Bhishma Dev, where Bhishma Dev was still in Kurukshetra on the battlefield, lying on the bed of arrows. So, and then Lord Krishna, wanted to glorify Bhishma Dev and wanted Yudhishthir Maharaj to take instructions from Bhishma Dev. Because Bhishma Dev was actually, he was technically the best king that Hastinapur never had. Because he was the most learned person in all streams which a king needs to learn. He was the best warrior. He was best knowing the dharma, how to rule, how to protect the citizens, and everything. He was political and everything. What because he had learned in all in the Swargaloka. When Ganga Devi went to Swargaloka, she took with her from Shantanu, and then she returned him after he was completely trained as a that he could rule as a best king. That's when he came to Shantanu and she returned him to Shantanu. So, and he is also called as one of the 12 Mahajanas, right? Swayambhu Narada Shambhu Kumar Kapilo Prahlado Janako Bhishma Balir Vayasakir Vayam. So when Yamraj in the sixth canto will learn that Yamraj, when he is instructing his Yamadutas, that these 12 personalities are the one who know real dharma, real understanding of meaning dharma. Because dharmam to sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharma is actually only created by Lord himself. And only these personalities can know dharma, because even many other personalities, even devatas, they are perplexed and to know about dharma. Because understanding dharma is very tedious or complex. And that's why it is recommended that one should follow these personalities. One should follow the footsteps of these personalities. And Bhishma is one of them. And Yudhishthir Maharaj is also called as Dharmaraj because he is son of Yamaraj, who is Dharmaraj. But still he was perplexed, or he was put into this perplexity by Lord Sri Krishna. And then he wanted him to take instructions from Bhishma, Pitama Bhishma. So when they came, Pitama Bhishma instructed him for all the duties that how a king can rule very piously and protect his citizens and be as a following the dharma, principles of dharma. And after instructing him, these instructions are very nicely given in Mahabharata, not as much as in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But after instructing him, then he offered very beautiful prayers to Lord Sri Krishna, and we saw that to some degree last week. And he also glorified that, and he was meditating on Krishna, as Prabhuji was saying, as Partha Sarathi, because that is the mode, Virya Ras. In that Ras, he worships Lord Sri Krishna. So he was remembering when on the battlefield, Krishna was running towards him, holding wheel of chariot, and his body, because of all arrows pierced, blood was coming out of those, and then so he thought that was the most beautiful form of Lord I have ever seen. So that's the form that Bhishma Dev cherishes. And in that mode, then he also remembered that actually one of the pastimes he had, when during the Rajasuya Yajna, when Indraprastha was created, built by Mayadana for Pandavas, and then Yudhishthir Maharaj, that time, before even the war or before the gambling match, performed a Rajasuya Yajna. And they invited all the kings, and Duryodhana and Kauravas also came. So that time, when the Yajna was performed, who is going to be the chief person of the Yajna? That was the discussion going on. And then everybody unanimously chose Lord Shri Krishna, except for Shishupal. And Shishupal was arguing, and that was the time, that was his 100th offense. And then Lord Shri Krishna killed him. But before that, he was arguing that he was promoting Bhishma Dev. Yeah, Bhishma Dev is one of the great personalities, and he should. Why you are selecting Krishna? But Bhishma is much more respectable than Lord Shri Krishna. That was his argument. And he said that Bhishma Dev is Naishtika Brahmachari. So that time, Bhishma Dev mentioned that actually Lord Sri Krishna is much greater or greatest Brahmachari than I am. Because Bhishma Dev says that even though I took a vow of remaining Brahmachari, I never had to deal with women at any time. So there was not a concern for me to get agitated at any moment. But Lord Sri Krishna in Vrindavan, in his very young age, was dancing and playing with all young damsels, young girls, the gopis, many times in the dead of night. But not a single time he had any thought of any adulterated thought about them. So that is Brahmacharya. And also the other definition of Brahmacharya is Brahma Acharati iti Brahmacharya. And who other than Lord Shri Krishna can follow the principles of Brahma? So that's why he said to that argument that Lord Shri Krishna is the actually greatest Brahmachari, then obviously than Pitava Bhishma said than me. I was just remembering that thought. So yeah, after instructing him, and then Bhishma Dev eventually seeing Lord Shri Krishna standing in front of him, continuously meditating only on the form of Krishna, he left his body. And that actually, according to Bhagavata Dharma or the other principles according to Vedic culture, is the highest success of human form of life. Because we define success when we achieve certain goal, right? So highest goal that is given, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that antakale cha mame vasmaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshaya. That at the time of death, antakale, if somebody can think of me alone, only me, and then quit his body, then he will come to me for sure. And that is the highest success. Or eventually, even Shukdev Goswami, who is the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who is speaking this to Parikshit Maharaj. So at the end of first canto, towards the end, Parikshit Maharaj asks him, because he is cursed by a young Brahmin boy that you will die by a bite. A snake bird will bit you, and then you will die within 7 days. And then he takes a vow that, oh, I'm going to fast for 7 days and just going to listen Srimad Bhagavatam. So that time, the very first question he asks Shukdev Goswami when he appears on the site, that what is the duty of a human being? What is the duty of a person? Particularly a person who is going to die. And who is that person? Every one of us. Who is going to die? Every one of us, right? Eventually, every one of us is going to die. So what is the duty of a person? So in that, when Shukdev Goswami starts answering in the beginning of the second canto, he instructs that he gives the definition of success for a human form of life of a person. And that he says very beautifully. First, he instructs that the question you have asked is very beautiful, because that is the important question for a human being. And then he gives how precarious our material life is. And then he says, Etavan Sankhya Yogabhya Swadharma Parinishthaya Janma Labha Parah Pumsam Ante Narayana Sati. That however you live this life and whatever path you follow, Etavan, even if you follow the path of Sankhya, Sankhya is the studying the philosophy of matter and spirit, or basically a scientific study of matter and spirit and everything, just like in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains about Sankhya Yoga, where he elaborates about the qualities of soul. So Sankhya is the study of matter and spirit. So even if you study Sankhya, or you yoga abhya, or if you study yoga, you become a perfect yogi, following the Vedic rules and regulations perfectly, following the Ashtanga yoga process, following all yama niyama, asana, pranayama, etc. And you become a perfect yogi. Or swadharma, according to your varna, whatever you are born in and whatever karma you are following. Even if you are Brahminical qualities, or you are Kshatriya or Vaishya or Shudra qualities, or even if you live as a Brahmachari or Grihastha or Vanaprastha or become a sannyasi, according to your own dharma, you follow that with nishtha, with all staunch rules and regulations. Janma labha parapumsa. What is the para labha? Para means supreme, labha means success or gain. In this janma, for humanity, is ante Narayana Smriti. At the end of time, when you are living this body, you should remember Narayana. That is the highest success of a human form of life. If somebody lives a life, how can we measure his success? If he can remember Narayan or Krishna at the end of life, or when he is quitting this body, then we can call that he lived a successful life. And then what to say about Lord Bhishma Dev? Lord Sri Krishna was standing right in front of him, and he was only meditating on his form. And that's how he left this body. So when Bhishma Dev left this body, and then Yudhishthira and all the Pandavas were very grief-stricken. So they eventually performed the final rites of Bhishma Dev there, and then returned along with Lord Krishna and sages, everybody back to Hastinapur. In Hastinapur, there were also personalities who were very morose, particularly Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. So even though Dhritarashtra and Pitama Bhishma, they had differences in opinion and all the things, because Dhritarashtra was very ambitious to become a king. And because he could not become king when he was supposed to, according to him, he wanted his son to become king, and that never happened. But still, he knew very well that he was very well protected and loved, cared for by Bhishma. Bhishma was like his uncle, right? Like It was like his father, because these kids, all three of them, Vidura, Pandu, and Dhritarashtra, when they were born, there was no father. So Bhishma kind of brought them up. And then, so Bhishma was like their father, even though he was uncle. And he had protected them because he had taken a vow that he'll protect the kingdom of Hastinapur. So Dhritarashtra, even though he was very ambitious, but he knew he was very close to Bhishma. And Gandhari, what to say about Gandhari? She was so pure-led. So they were very morose. And then Yudhishthir Maharaj had to console them after going there. And after then returning to, so this is where the 9th chapter ends and the 10th chapter starts, in how Yudhishthir Maharaj started ruling as a king. So even though he was not very eager to rule as a king, but he ruled as a matter of duty, because this responsibility was given by Lord Shri Krishna, because Krishna was pleased that Yudhishthir Maharaj, who is one of the best Kurus, one of the best Kauravas, to rule the kingdom, and he was the right heir of the Kuru dynasty. And so Krishna was very pleased. And for the pleasure of Krishna and to protect the citizens as a matter of duty, that is the reason why Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled the king. Not like any other king, or particularly like today's politicians, leaders, just to enjoy the kingdom for their own benefit. Or they are very ambitious because they want to prove a point, and they are very egoistic too, and they want to enjoy that kingdom. That was not the reason. He didn't want to be king actually, but he ruled only as a matter of duty for the pleasure of Krishna. And he also ruled following the perfect dharmic principles, which he had learned from Bhishmadev and Lord Shri Krishna. Because as we said earlier, dharma is very difficult for people in general, even the devatas, to understand. Yeah, even Yamraj, when he instructs his Yamadutas, yeah, he says that dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya. No, actually, this is the verse from Mahabharata, that Naso muni yasya matam na bhinnam. So that, yeah, tarko pratishtha. It says something like that. Tarka means dharma cannot be understood by argument, tarka, or logic. Because the philosophers can come up with some different philosophy and they can defeat the previous philosophy. And if they cannot do that, then they are not called as philosophers. Every time you see, even in the scientist world, the scientists prove something. After a few years, somebody studies something, they prove that, oh, that was wrong because something was missing in their point. And this is the new philosophy. Everybody accepts their philosophy. So in the same manner, Naso Munir Yasya Matam Na Bhinna. So somebody is not called a Muni or a philosopher if he doesn't present a bhinna or different philosophy than his predecessors. But dharma cannot be studied by tarka or logic. So that's why it is said, but dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhai. The principles of dharma are very, very confidential. And that's why, how can we learn dharma then? Mahajano yena gata sapanta. So the path that is given to us by Mahajanas, the path that they followed and the instructions that they have given, only that we can follow to know the perfect dharma. we cannot come up with our own logic or argument to study dharma. And that is the reason, if you see, both Arjuna and Yudhishthir Maharaj, when they were completely bewildered, they took shelter of Krishna and Bhishma. Arjuna took shelter of Krishna because he said, I don't know now what my duty is. I have no idea. And if you think of our own situation sometime, if we are in a dilemma and we don't know, even if somebody can logically console us, but that dilemma still remains. We may do something, but we are still not convinced if what I am doing is right or wrong. So in those situations, Mahajano yena gata sapanta. We can not blindly, but listening to them, we can follow the path, what is dharma. And that's what, in case of Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was given path directly by Lord Sri Krishna, and the other person is Mahajana himself, who is one of the great devotees of Krishna, and he is glorified as one of the 12 Mahajanas, that is Bhishmadev. So following that path, he ruled, not whimsically, not by his own ideology. And when one rules with dharma, then everything goes fine. Then then there is real peace in the world, and then every citizen is peaceful. And that's what happened when Yudhishthir Maharaj was ruling. Because he was ruling with dharmic principles. And because of that, when a king or leader is following dharma and is a Vaishnava or a devotee of Krishna, even the nature fulfills all his desires and all the desires of the citizens. Because what is needed for a good kingdom, or what do you think we need for general citizenship, for a good, let's say, good country or good nation to flourish? Everybody needs to be happy. What do we need?
A good leader.
A good leader. But what does good leader provide? Economic development, safety, right?
Mm.
They should be secure, safe, no anxiety, and generally economic development. If they are economically satisfied, and if there is no anxiety, there is no mental illness or physical illness, there is no distress, if the weathers are working perfectly, all the seasons are working perfectly, there is no too hot or too cold, rain comes perfectly as needed, not too much or not too less, and earth is producing all what is needed, what else do you need? And that's what happens when a Vaishnava is a leader of the nation or the world. And that time, when Yudhishthir Maharaj was ruling, it is said that Yudhishthir Maharaj was ruling all the whole world, including the oceans and land. So there was one flag for the whole world. There were small kingdoms, but everybody was working under the rule of Yudhishthir Maharaj. And this was true until Parishit Maharaj. And that's why all subjects were very happy. Because earth, actually, there was a very beautiful sentence Prabhupada writes that the rivers, mountains, earth, and trees and plants, everybody was paying right taxes to the king. What do you mean by paying taxes? Because they are giving everything that is needed for the humanity. If there is enough growth of grains, if there are enough minerals for everything, if there is good enough cotton, enough water, what else do we need? Cows, it is said that the cows were so happy and they were with full milk bags that even when they were roaming around, because of their milk, the pasturing grounds will get wet. So much milk was flowing through their milk bags. You don't have to milk the cows. Their milk will automatically flow. Because they were so happy. because there was no cruelty against animals. Everybody was taken care of. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, and also nature was fulfilling his all the needs, because under whose control nature works? Krishna's control, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. That this whole Prakriti works under my adhyakshata, under my direction. And if Krishna is satisfied by having his representative ruling, then obviously the nature will work nicely. And to the contrast, if we see today, it's all opposite, right? That's what everybody is shouting about global warming. Earth doesn't produce nicely. You get rain when you don't need it, and you don't get rain when you need it. Soil is not so much land in the earth is barren, not fertile land. Even if you try to grow many things, it won't grow. And in old days, with rain, not only gives the herbs and grains and food and vegetation, it also gives a proper rain with astronomical conditions, also gives many minerals. It produces minerals and pearls. So that also we don't see anymore, because our leaders are not following the dharma. And many times Prabhupada in some of the purports explains that is the kind of ruling we need, regime we need. A person not elected by some people who are lower than animals and selecting a leader, or by vote electing a leader who is also lower than animals just for gratifying their own senses. Because how are the leaders elected these days? Based on who will satisfy my senses better, that is the leader I will choose. Who is working for my motive, I will vote for him. Nobody cares for each other, right? But that is not the one how these leaders work, because he, being a Vaishnava devotee, he was careful. He was taking care of not only his citizens as human beings, but of all the animals, particularly cows. And also in old days, and even today, actually, if we think, Prabhupada writes in many places that if we have fertile land and cows, that's enough for any place to economically grow. Because the real wealth is cows and grains. If we have more grains and pure organic grains and cow's milk, we don't need anything else. So that takes care of all our economic necessities. And that's what happened when Parikshit Maharaj was ruling. So yeah, it is said all over the world. And this is not only in the continent of South Asian continent, which we call as Bharat. The whole world was known as Bharatavarsha. And all over the world, it said that there was regulated rainfall. And because of this, it is said that the subjects were all happy. There was no distress. Obviously, not many hospitals needed, because there was no mental illness. Everybody was happy. Everybody was contributing to the society, and they were very happy under the rule of Yudhishthir Maharaj. And one more thing, in that Yudhishthir Maharaj is also called as Ajatashatru. You know what Ajatashatru means, right? Yeah. One who has no enemy. Ajata Shatru. One who is enemy was never born. Jata means some who is born. Ajata means never born. Shatru is enemy. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is called Ajata Shatru. So he was never inimical. He never considered anybody enemy, and nobody was inimical towards him because he was so strong. So, and because he was Ajata Shatru or non-inimical, all the subjects were happy. There was nobody creating nuisance against him. These days we see, right? Even the political leaders. There are so much disturbances everywhere. Because you can satisfy somebody's needs, but somebody else has some other needs and they will fight because of the differences. And because of those differences, then there is always friction. And this world is meant like that. So unless somebody is like Krishna's devotee, is a leader, that's how the Kurus, it is said in the beginning that in the war of the Kurus, there are so many people in the Mahabharata war, so many people died, and they are compared like just like in a bamboo forest, just because of friction between the bamboos, fire starts, and that fire devours all the forest. In the same manner, because of some ideological differences between people here, people or nations or communities, there is always friction. And because of that, there is always some or other kind of war going on between societies, between communities, between nations. And we see this all the time. And that's why this world is compared with the forest fire, where everybody is burning, everybody is suffering. Unless there is a ruler like Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is a devotee and who is strong enough. And that's why the best regime or best kind of ruling that is recommended in Vedic culture is the monarchy or anarchy by a Vaishnava devotee, because he's very following the best principles of dharma. He's perfectly trained in dharma and shastra, and he's devotee of Krishna. That's why he is always equal to everyone. He will never be, what do you call, partial or inimical towards anyone. And then he'll take care of every citizen, including animals. So a full anarchy with a powerful king who is Vaishnava devotee is the best ruler for the whole society. Not the democracy like us, what we have today, where some people, based on their self-interest, select a leader who they think may fulfill their self-interest, which may or may not happen once he's elected. Because he may choose something else. He may go away from his promises. So that's, Prabhupada in some cases calls this democracy as demon crazy. That some crazy group of demons select one demon as their leader and all demons go crazy. So this is demons gone crazy. So that is democracy. So it fits actually perfectly in this world. So in this way, Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling, and then everybody was happy. He was supported by his brothers, and his brothers were going in different directions and making sure that there is no disturbance in the whole world. And Krishna then was residing in Hastinapur as a guest of his cousins, Pandavas, for some time. And then after a few months, then Krishna wanted to leave for Dwarka. So he requested again Yudhishthira Maharaj, which he was planning to go earlier, but when Kunti Maharani offered his prayers, but that time Yudhishthira Maharaj stopped him. So on his request, he had stayed back. But now he just asked his permission to go back to Dwarka. And then this time Yudhishthira Maharaj gives him permission. And then Krishna plans to leave, taking permission. He stayed back for quite a few months for satisfying Pandavas, satisfying Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, Draupadi, and particularly his young sister Subhadra also, because she had lost her only son, Abhimanyu, in the war. So to please them, Krishna had stayed back, but now he takes his permission to leave for Dwarka. And then everybody, when Krishna is about to leave from Hastinapur for Dwarka, everybody is very sad. Particularly, it is said that all the ladies, Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, others are very sad. Even Bhishma, not Bhishma, Bhima, Nakul, Sahadev, they almost feel unconscious with the sadness for separation from Krishna. Yudhishthir also, with very heavy heart, gave him permission. And then he departs from Hastinapur and starts for Dwarka. When he starts for Dwarka, Arjuna is holding a very beautiful umbrella for him, bedecked with jewels, and carrying him. Uddhava is one of the cousins of Lord Shri Krishna. He and Satyaki are fanning Lord Krishna. Yudhishthir, just out of love, gives him a big army of 4 different divisions. The horse riders, elephants, chariots, and the army. The, what do you call? पैदल चलते हैं उसको क्या बोलते हैं इंग्लिश? No. Army. So all 4 different. So
Chaturvyuha, Prabhu?
yes,
Is it Chaturvyuha?
No, not Chaturvyuha. They are the army with soldiers who are on feet, then soldiers who are on horses, elephants, and chariots. So these 4 different divisions. So all are sent with Lord Krishna, just out of his love, not that he is afraid that Krishna will be harmed, but to give him protection. Because just like, even though it is out of love, just like Yashoda Mata is trying to protect Krishna, right? So Yudhishthir Maharaj is also giving protection, and out of his love sends 4 divisions of army with him. And then very beautiful description of Lord Krishna living palace, and all the ladies, they are about to cry, but they don't want their tears to fall off, because they think that it is not auspicious if I cry when Lord Krishna is leaving. And then he leaves the palace, and then when he is going on the streets of Hastinapur, many people on the houses, in the balconies, everywhere, standing. And then there is a very beautiful description of what they are chatting. Particularly all the ladies of the Hastinapur, they are seeing the beauty. They are drinking the beauty of Lord Shri Krishna through their eyes. They are cursing that why do we have to blink our eyes, because for that moment we cannot see Krishna. And then the discussions what they are having it is said that they are much beautiful than any Vedic hymns. Because Vedic hymns, what is the purpose of Vedic hymns? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaisya sarver ahameva ved. The purpose of Vedas is to know Shri Krishna. But all these ladies are talking about Krishna. They are glorifying how beautiful, how fortunate Lord Krishna's wives are, that they get his personal association all the time. How fortunate are the gopis with whom Lord Krishna used to always play and have their very close pastimes with him. How fortunate are the Vrajavasis, are his friends. They are always going with him and playing with him, playing with the Supreme Person who is the creator of everything. So all this, they are talking among themselves. And that's why it is said that these talks were sweeter than any Vedic hymns. And that's how Krishna lives the Hastinapur. and he's about to, and then eventually he goes through different places. He had to request everybody because everybody is following him. They don't want to go back. So at certain point, Krishna had to tell them, now please go back, Yudhishthira Maharaj, all Pandavas, and that you go back and I'll go from here. Because nobody wants to live separate from Krishna. And then Krishna leaves from Dwarka, and then next week I think we'll learn about how he travels to different places and then eventually goes to Dwarka. And even during travel, when he's going, every evening he will do Sandhya Vandan, just to show us the importance of evening rituals. He doesn't have to do it because he is the Supreme Person, but every evening he will do his Sandhya Vandan, all the rituals, follow all the principles, and then retire from day, take rest, and then start again next day. So he goes through different places and heads to Dwarka. I think it's 8:10. We'll stop here today. But and then there is a very beautiful description. Probably Prabhuji will cover next time all the discussions between the ladies about Krishna's glories. So we'll hear that next week. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So any thoughts or reflections?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. The Chaturanga Bala, is that what you meant, or Akshogini? When you mentioned Chaturanga Bala, is that what you mentioned, Prabhu?
Yeah, it could be Chaturanga Bala. I'm not fine. It's not Akshauhini. Akshauhini has a specific number of chariot and everything. No, it just said that there are 4 types of different infantries, basically. So
infantry, yes, infantry.
Infantry, yeah.
Foot soldiers are infantry.
Yeah, foot soldiers. So infantry plus horse riders, and then chariot riders and elephant riders. So these are the 4 different divisions he sent with Lord Shri Krishna. So infantry is the one who are on the feet.
Feet.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, Chaturvyuha, those are the 4 expansions of the Lord, right? So,
yeah. Chaturvyuha is, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Anuruddha.
Aniruddha and Pradyumna.
Yeah.
Okay. Prabhu, I have a question. Is Yudhishthira Maharaj considered as a Rajarshi as well?
Yes, Mataji.
Is he Rajarshi?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he is a great sage. So, yeah. So Rajarshi is one who is king and also has qualities of a sage. So all these kings who are devotees are called Rajarshis. Even Parikshit Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj.
Okay.
You were mentioning about one flag. I didn't get what you were meaning about one flag.
One flag means just like in today's day and age, right? In modern world, there are so many countries and so many flags. So even though Prabhupada many times mentions that we have you're right, we don't need this. So we have what is it? UN, United Nations. So we call it as United Nations, but it's actually divided nations. Because every year there is one additional flag. We are growing number of flags in United Nations. So that was not the case. There was one rule all over the world, and that was of Srila Prabhupada's. Not Srila Prabhupada. It is actually Srila Prabhupada's, but Yudhishthira Maharaj's.
Okay.
So there was one ruler, and there were small kingdoms, but they were all working under one flag, that is Yudhishthira Maharaj's.
Oh, it was so you meant that way. Okay, yeah. Sure.
Yes, that's what one flag means. All over the world, there was one rule.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Prabhuji, you mentioned in the class today that there is a shloka in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, you think of me at the time of leaving the body and you will attain Goloka Vrindavan, or you will come join me there. And in Bhagavad Gita and in Bhagavatam, at least from my understanding, we know that Vishnu and Krishna's name is interchangeable. Vishnu is also Krishna. Sometimes you refer Krishna as Vishnu. But someone who's not a ISKCON devotee or a bhakt, does not follow Krishna consciousness, is not a Krishna bhakt, but if he's a Vishnu bhakt, and if he thinks of Vishnu at the time of leaving the body, will he still attain Goloka Vrindavan, or will he attain the other planetary or heavenly planet, but still will come back because he's not a Krishna bhakt?
Okay. So there are, I don't know if everybody got the question online here, but I'll repeat the question. So Prabhuji is asking that Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that whoever thinks of me at the time of death, he comes to me. But if somebody thinks of other form of Vishnu, will he go to the same place, or will he has to, if he has to come back after going some other place? So Vishnu and Krishna are same. Krishna is the best name of all the Vishnu Tattvas, and he's the source also of all the Vishnu Tattvas. So we learn from the Shastra, right? From Krishna, only Krishna is there. That is the source of everything. From him comes Baldev or Sankarshan, and from Sankarshan comes first Chaturvyuha, that Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Then from that Sankarshan comes Narayan, and then from him comes another Chaturvyuha, and so on. But all these, so this is all spiritual kingdom. So there are two different worlds, and we learn in the 8th chapter, we learned probably last time, Parastasmatu Bhavanyo Vyakto Vyaktat Sanatana. So there is para, there is separate creation other than this material creation that we call as a spiritual world or spiritual realm. So the spiritual realm is much, much bigger, larger than the material realm. When Krishna says that Antakale cha mameva smaranmuktva kalevaran, whoever thinks of me comes to my abode. Now, it depends on the bhava which he lives the body on. So if somebody is very intimately in bhava with Krishna, then he will go to the highest planet where Krishna lives, because that's where he's satisfied, right? But if somebody has a bhava for Lord Ramachandra, which is also Vishnu Tattva. So in the spiritual world, there is also Ayodhya Dham. So he will attain to Ayodhya Dham. He will not come back again. Anybody who goes to the spiritual world does not come back again. Then if somebody has a bhava for Lord Narsingha, then there is a separate Dhama for Lord Narsingha, because that's where he will have better reciprocation for that particular form which he has affection or love for. Or somebody will go to Vaikuntha planets where he has a attraction towards Chaturbhuja Rupa of Vishnu, Shankha Chakra Gadadhari. And there are many Vaikuntha planets which there are different Chaturbhuja Rupa Narayana. They are planetary systems. Even he goes there, they will not come back. They will go. They will not come back again in this material world. But if somebody goes somewhere in the material world, which we call Chauda Bhavan, the 14 different planetary systems. So Swarga Loka or Mahar Loka or Jana Loka, even up to Brahma Loka, or even the lower planetary system for some other reason, then they keep in this material world and they keep coming back and forth. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartana. So they will keep coming back. So if somebody stays in the material world, irrespective of which planet he goes to, he comes back again. But when he goes to the spiritual world, any spiritual kingdom, Vaikuntha or Ayodhya or Goloka Vrindavan, they don't come back.
Just one follow-up. Again, Krishna is viewed or prayed to in different form in different parts of India. In Maharashtra, they pray him as Vithoba. You go to Orissa, it is Jagannath. You go to South, in Kerala, it is Guruvayur. It is again Krishna's form.
Yes.
How about devotees of those followers of those forms of Krishna?
Very beautiful question. So I'll repeat the question again. So Prabhuji is asking that even Lord Sri Krishna is worshipped in different forms, that particularly in India, in Maharashtra, he is worshipped as Vitthal. Then in the southern part of India, in Tirumala, he is worshipped as Balaji. And in the northern part, in some other forms. So what about those devotees who worship in different forms? So yes, so even actually Krishna performs Leela in different forms, and all these forms are actually forms of different Leelas. So somebody may worship Vrindavan Krishna, his Bala Leela, or even in Vrindavan, his other Leelas. Or somebody may worship Dwarka Krishna. So Dwarka Krishna worshippers are different than Vrindavan Krishna worshippers because the bhav is completely different. When one worship Krishna in Vrindavan form, they have a much loving, affectionate form. But in Dwarka is a different form. So Vitthal in Maharashtra is Dwarkadish. Is a Dwarka Krishna. So they will go to Dwarka. So in the realm also, there are different dhama. Golok Vrindavan, Dwarka Dham, Mathura Dham is different. So they are different dhama. So based on that, their reciprocation or their bhava, they will attain the different dham.
But it's still that they're not reborn, even if
No.
they're
They will still associate.
Objective idea is not to be reborn.
No, they still associate with Krishna, but in their, because they relish that form. Yeah, they have reciprocation with that particular pastime. So Lord Shri Krishna. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Rohit Prabhu.
Very nice stuff, Prabhuji. One hand. I think Prabhuji, you mentioned that Parikshit Maharaj, right, in last 7 days, he fasted and listened to Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So who gave him this knowledge to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam? Like, who gave him this realization to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam?
Okay, so I'll repeat the question again for online. So Prabhuji is asking that Parikshit Maharaj, when he was cursed that he will die of a snake bird bite in 7 days, who inspired him to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam? So actually, as soon as he learned that he was cursed to die in 7 days, Parikshit Maharaj, being a Vaishnava and a great devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, he was actually capable of getting out of that curse. But he accepted that curse as Krishna's mercy. And then he decided at that point that I am going to, now these 7 days, I know that I have 7 days. So what he said, I am going to give up everything, my kingdom and everything, go on the bank of Ganga, sit there and fast for 7 days. And then when king says that, everybody knows. Imagine king who is ruling whole Bharatavarsha decides something. All the devatas, the news spread everywhere, and all the great sages and everybody assembled there. And that's where he asked this question to everyone, all the sages, that now I'm going to die. What is the duty of a person who is going to die? And to narrate that, they were looking for a person who will be the right person to answer that. And that's when Shukdev Goswami, who was, it is said that we learned in the beginning, right? Shukdev Goswami didn't even stop at one place until the cow was milked. He will only stop at any house in front of the house until the cow is milked. He will drink that milk and then go on. He was just moving about everywhere without caring for any clothes or anything. And everybody, the young children, will run after him thinking that this is a madman. They will throw stones at him. But when he appeared on the side here, where Parikshit Maharaj sat for fasting. So even though the young kids who were running after him, they didn't know glory of Shukdev Goswami, but all these sages, they were elevated. They knew him. So they immediately offered him obeisances, welcomed him, and then they selected him as the leader for this, or a speaker for the group, for Parikshit Maharaj. And then they recommended that Parikshit Maharaj to ask this question to Shukdev Goswami. And whatever the conversation that we have between Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj is called as Bhagavatam. Makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the conversation. Just like conversation between Lord Shri Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is known as Bhagavad Gita. In the same manner, this conversation, then Parikshit Maharaj asked this first question he asked to Shukdev Goswami is this: oh, what is the duty of a person who is about to die? So that conversation started, and then after answer to that questions, Shukdev Goswami answered those, and Parikshit Maharaj asked more questions. And in there, then there are so many references of other conversations. That whole conversation is called Bhagavatam. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
So in the class you mentioned Krishna was living Hastinapur, everybody feeling bad because of the separation.
Mhm.
But during the time only, I mean, Gandhari give a curse to Krishna saying that your family will be, your dynasty will be, and all. I mean,
No, that was immediately after the war.
no.
Yeah. Right. Online, if there are any other reflections, thoughts, Gurjit Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was a really wonderful class. And when you mentioned that the leaders and the quality of leaders and the dharmic, the religiosity of the leaders actually shows in the prosperity of the kingdom. And that actually reminded me that even the vegetables or fruits that we eat here, it doesn't actually taste. I mean, they look all pretty, but none of them have the real taste. So all that could be because of the religiosity, or earth is not producing the vegetation in such a way that they are actually very, very tasty, right? So so we can, when you were describing and also reading Srimad Bhagavatam, that scene of that particular kingdom, even Bali Maharaj, when he was ruling also, it was like everything was prosperous at that time. So it's like we can only imagine how everyone being happy. And there must be probably no prisoner also, right? Because there are no crimes. So there is no need for a
probably.
prison either.
So there was no needs of hospitals or jails.
Yes, exactly. No hospital, no jail, everybody happy. Almost like in the heavenly kingdom, how they
Yes.
were living.
Actually,
as
it is said that he was ruling like Indra. His
Indra.
rule is compared to Indra.
Right. Right. It's so beautiful. We can only imagine about that. So thank you so much, bro. Very wonderful.
Thank you so much for sharing that reflection, Mataji. I think the other class will start, so we'll stop here now. 8:30, the other. They need to use this Zoom link. So we'll stop.
Thank you, Radhā-Rañjana Prabhu. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Panchakalpatarubhyascha Patitanam
Anam Bhavani Vijaya Vaishnava Devanam
Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.